Hello guys. So I'm back in KL, which means that the mid-semester holiday is over, and yeah, it's over. That's what it means. It's over. um, Regardless, today I just feel like making a video because I just finished one particular large assignment and I feel happy after that completion. And so I'm in the mood, and I thought, why not talk about my end of year reading plans. It's already December. It's soon going to be the new year, 2024. I'm excited about that. But this month I still have some books that I really hope I could finish, and I want to talk about some of these books with you guys, my general plan with these books. So there are a couple of groups of books that I want to finish in December. One group of books would be books that I started long time ago, but for some reason, one reason or another, I just could not complete them, and so I want to complete them this month. The other group would be the books I am planning for a reading event called Remember December, organized by a group of booktubers, which is about rereading books. And I also have books that I'm currently reading right now that I really want to finish, and also a book that I just simply placed in my goal, as a goal to finish this year, because why not? So I think I'm gonna start with that random book that I placed as a book that I need to finish this year. I mean, not exactly need, but really want the book that I desire to finish this year, and that would be this one by Valley of the Dolls by Jacqueline Susann. And I mentioned this book in one of my previous haul videos, I think, and I also said that I wanted to start this book soon and finish it before the year ends. And I'm just getting a lot of nice vibes from this book. And I hope that this book does not disappoint. This is a book that I found from so many list of trashy novels, so I'm really curious to know what exactly constitutes a trashy novel, because this book is kind of like a cult classic of sorts. So I am very curious. I expect something scandalous in here, something gossipy. Yeah, and I'm looking forward for those kinds of storyline. Anyway, moving on to the book that I'm currently reading. Actually, I am currently reading many books, but one particular book that I'm reading right now is something that I hope to finish within this month. And this one is by Fay Weldon. This is called the Spa Decameron. And this book is really interesting. This is also my first Fay Weldon, and I found that I really enjoy this book. As of now, I am about 20% into this book. And so yeah, I am reading this one really slowly. And the main reason why I'm reading this one really slowly is because this is the small print edition. The print size is like really tiny. And also the book is stiff. I really like it if my books are floppy, you can hold them in your hands and they just open wide for you. But this one, no, you really have to put in some effort to open it wide. I mean, I could crack the spine, but this book feels kind of new, and it would be a shame to crack the spine that soon. So what is this book about? This book is about a woman who travels to a spa retreat for Christmas because something has happened in her at her home, and her husband has to travel somewhere else far, and so she's kind of alone on Christmas, and so she travels to this spa where she ends up encountering a bunch of other women there, and upon encountering them, she gets to hear stories from all of these women. Now, if that structure might sound familiar to you, well, obviously from the title, there is a bit of that inspiration being lifted from Boccaccio's Decameron, which is not something that I've read, but I am really interested in reading that book, especially after I started reading this. I just thought that that structure was really interesting. This whole a bunch of people being placed in a confined space, in a one particular space, like cramped with each other, and so they ended up telling each other story and stuff. Yeah, now I am really interested in reading Boccaccio's Decameron as well because of this one. But as for this, I'm really enjoying it. Aside from that structure, I also like the tone of this book. There's something really irreverent about it. I don't usually like blurbs, but the blurb says it's gossipy and irreverent, and this book indeed feels kind of gossipy and irreverent. There are some exaggerations in here, but I think I'll talk more about that once I finish this book, and yeah, just pretty much tell you my thoughts about it. I mean, who knows, by that time I might end up disliking this book. So yeah, there are going to be some new things to talk about possibly by then. So I need to finish this one first, because now I am really excited to, you know, looking forward to the time in which I talk about this book with you guys in a recent read video or whatever. So moving on to the next group of books would be the books that I've started quite a while ago, but for some reason I just haven't finished them. Now, there are 3 books in this group. The first one is Toni Morrison's Beloved. This one was something that I started this year. I think it was in June, sometime in June, I can't really remember. Yeah, I still haven't finished it. But the thing is, I like this book. I enjoyed reading this book. The content can be a little bit difficult to read because obviously this book is not about people enjoying themselves. This book has, it touches on the issue of slavery and cruelty against other humans, and trauma, and death of family members, all of those really heavy topics. And what I really like is that, similar to the first Toni Morrison that I read, The Bluest Eye, in this one I find that the prose is used very beautifully as well, especially when it comes to describing all of these really dark and horrible subjects, these ugly things. The author has a way of describing these really ugly things in a beautiful way. So I like that. I really enjoy reading her writing. But I think also because of how this book is quite tough in terms of its content, that causes me to kind of slow down my reading a little bit. Another thing with this book is that I find that it's best for me to read her writing word by word, just really chewing on the words, enjoying each bit slowly, in order for me to really appreciate this book to its, to the full extent. And that was the approach that I took with this book. But I do hope that I could sort of make more time to read this one this year, because it's Toni Morrison. I like her style. Now, the next one is an interesting book. It's called The Wandering by Intan Paramaditha. I also started reading this book this year. I think it was May or April. This book has about 400 pages. The writing isn't that difficult to read. It's very straightforward, but I really enjoy this one. I also enjoyed Intan Paramaditha's earlier book, a short story collection called Apple and Knife. And this one is originally written in Indonesian, translated into English by Stephen J. Epstein. So this book is about a young Indonesian woman who travels around the world after being given a pair of red shoes by her devil boyfriend. So there is something a little bit supernatural going on here. But another interesting thing about this book is that it is also a choose your own adventure kind of a book. And so you're gonna have so many different choices of plot lines in here. I have already completed 3 plot lines and I enjoyed the experience. But because there are so many kinds of plot lines that you could explore, that means I would have to reread this book a few more times. And honestly, that's pretty much what I'm trying to do right now. But that's also the reason why I am really slow with this book. There's no way also that I can update my reading progress on Goodreads for this book, because I would have to go back and forth, through the pages while reading this book. But yeah, I'm looking forward to read a few more plot lines in here. I'm not sure if I will be able to read all of the plot lines possible because of the amount of combination that you could have with a choose your own adventure kind of a book. But yeah, I'd like to read as much as possible. This book is really interesting because aside from that plot, it also has really interesting discussions on the politics of travel, especially from the point of view of a Southeast Asian person. So yeah, which is what I am. Yeah, moving on to another book that I actually started reading last year. Started reading June last year, I think it was June. I can't remember, but it was more than a year already. This is Memoirs of Hadrien by Marguerite Yourcenar. And this book was translated from French to English by I remember it was the author's partner, by Grace Frick. So this one reason why it is very slow for me to read this book is that this book it is dense with historical details that I'm not super familiar with, and so reading this book is just kind of like me coming across one historical detail to another, all of which I am, I would say, almost completely clueless about. But I don't think that is much of an issue because, reading is all about encountering something new. So, yeah, it's not a big deal. But, yeah, it does slow down my reading a little. However, I am also enjoying this one because despite all of the dense contents you could find, there is some kind of heart in this book. There is this really nice, intimate tone, the way that this novel is narrated. So basically, this novel is kind of narrated by Emperor Hadrian himself. He is sick and possibly dying, and he's writing all of these words dedicated to a younger person. So reading this book is pretty much very similar to how it would feel when you're listening to someone older talking about their life and the experience and everything they've encountered throughout their lives. And you're just listening there. Sometimes you zone out. I found myself zoning out a little bit while I was reading this book, but yeah, there's definitely that vibe, and I feel like this book is able to capture that vibe, and that's why I'm still staying with it, even like after more than a year. It's kind of similar to, you know, again, that whole situation where you're listening to someone talking about their life. Like, you may like that person, but it's not like you're gonna listen to every single detail of what they're saying. But you're sticking with them, like you're still hanging out with them, right? Because you like them. So yeah, that is my experience with this book. But I do hope that I can finish it this year, because I only have like, well, I wouldn't say I have only a few pages left. Yeah, 1/3. I still have 1/3 of this book left to finish. Really interesting stuff. So those 3 are the books that I have started much earlier, and I want to finish it this year. Now let's see which books I can finish this year. You know, accountability. Now, so the next group, the final group of books would be the books that I want to read for Remember December. So this is a readathon where you basically reread at least one book. I have 2 books on my TBR, but I'm not sure if I can reread both of those books. If I do have time, I might. But I'm gonna target only like at least one of these books to reread this year. And you know, because it's the end of the year, I want to be ambitious, but at the same time I have to be realistic, right? So yeah, I target one out of 2. So the first one that I would like to read would be my all-time favorite books. You may have heard me mention this book a while ago in some of my past videos. It would be Erica Jong's Fear of Flying. I don't have the physical copy with me. It's at home back in Kuching, so I might read it in a different format. But I actually finished reading this book in 2019, before I started BookTube, and so I haven't really like raved about this book on my channel, even though on multiple occasions I've said that I really love this book, it's my all-time favorite, blah blah blah. But yeah, you have not heard me rave about this book non-stop. So who knows, maybe if I could finish reading this book for this readathon, then yeah, you're gonna get that. Yeah, Fear of Flying is a novel that was published in 1970s, and at the time when it was published, it was like it had this reputation of being like really raunchy, kind of scandalous portrayal of female sexuality, something like that. Obviously, today it wouldn't feel like that anymore. But something about this novel just, I don't know, resonates with me. I think the word resonate is kind of weird, because, well, I'm not a woman who is struggling to express my sexuality or whatever. There are so many other things in this novel that I feel just click, you know, I can vibe with. I really like the neurotic portrayal, or should I say, I really like the portrayal of neurotic character in this book, the main character. I really like this whole kind of partly self-aware and also partly self-deprecating portrayal of the main character, and the way that she narrates her story. The voice is very interesting. It's hilarious, but at the same time there is something worthwhile in the writing. I'm not sure. I'm trying to avoid using the word deep because I don't really like the word deep, and profound, even worse. But I just like this whole kind of, again, maybe somewhat similar to this one. I really like the whole irreverence tone that this book takes. So yeah, that is Fear of Flying. The other one that I might reread would be The Hearing Trumpet by Leonora Carrington. Now, I forgot when The Hearing Trumpet was published. Let me see. It was published in 1974, also in the 70s. And this book is a work of surrealism, and I read this one last year in December. At that time, I would say about for 3 months or so, I was away from BookTube, and so again, I didn't talk about The Hearing Trumpet in my channel. So yeah, if I finish this book this year, you may hear me talk non-stop about The Hearing Trumpet. Now, this book is also something that I place as one of my all-time favorites, because so far I have not encountered anything that is similar to this. The vibe is just wild. The Hearing Trumpet, I'm not sure how to describe the plotline for you. Let's just say the main character, an old woman, she receives a hearing trumpet from her bestie, and at the same time, her family is trying to get rid of her by sending her to an old folks home. So they do that, and she ends up staying at this old folks home where so many weird, bizarre things, and by bizarre I mean things related to ancient conspiracy, apocalypse, murder happening in that old folks home. So yeah, obviously that book is just crazy. It is it is wild, and that is exactly the kind of book I like. Something about what kind of, you know, my current personal zeitgeist, so to speak. Lately I've been getting into a lot of flop top memes online. I think this is probably one of the best memes ever created by humanity, and I just love these memes because of how absurd and surreal they are. And I feel like The Hearing Trumpet kind of fits with the whole mood of surrealism, the occasionally ironic feel of how some of these surreal things are portrayed, and I don't know, something about it, the lack of burden of meaning in these things, they appeal to me so much because they are serious, but at the same time, again, they are irreverent. They don't care much about rules and conventions. They just break all of the rules, and they feel proud. Yeah, I feel like this video has a theme today. But yeah, those are the two books that I might reread for Remember December. And yeah, and I guess those are all of the books that I plan to read before the year ends. Let's see how the recent read video is going to look like. Again, you know, always there's a possibility that I find something shinier and I would go there and read those instead and abandon my plans, because if there's something that I'm really good at doing, it's abandoning my plans. But yeah, that's all I have for this video, and I'll see you again in a different one. So until then, take care, thanks for watching, and bye.